Hey, this is Max Stern from Signals Midwest. I'm here in Gainesville, Florida at the Fest 12, working with Alternative Press and talking to my new friend Bob from Braid. And how's it going?
It's going all right. It's good to meet you and hang out and be in sunny, rainy, humid Florida.
This feels really unnatural. This movement, it's good. So I've been sort of brainstorming a couple questions, and I guess the big thing for me is, if you could have a conversation with yourself in like 1996, what do you think you would tell yourself about playing music, about sort of the life path that you chose? Would you do anything differently? I mean, I'm going big guns, just straight off the bat, man.
That's normally, the last question.
This is going to be the first question, and then it's just going to be 12 minutes of bullshit from there on out.
That sounds fine. Well, I haven't answered it. My answer could be 12 minutes of bullshit as well.
You can hold it.
Oh, for sure. I was going to say, you're going to hold it for me the whole time.
That's gonna be weird.
In 1996, I'm not sure I would tell myself or give myself any advice that would be much different than where I actually ended up.
That's
because,
good, actually.
Yeah. How does that feel?
No, it feels good.
How old are you?
I'm 24.
24. So in 1996, I was 21. So, anyway, don't change a thing.
All right, I won't, man.
No, yeah, so because, basically I just kept playing music since then. And when bands weren't around, when Braid wasn't around or Hey Mercedes wasn't around, I just kept playing music on my own and writing music. And even when I got a job, like a steady job, it didn't matter. Any time I had extra time off, I would go out and play music. And having a job is actually great inspiration for writing songs because right? So that's really what I would say. Maybe I would say don't. Well, no, because I think the problem. This is a problem now. I wrote everything down, so I wouldn't even say write more stuff down because I've got too much stuff written down. So that's it.
That's good. Something I've definitely noticed, and it's sort of a page I took out of your book, I guess, is that you keep track of everything and you keep track of dates and times and stuff like that, and I'm totally obsessed with that stuff too. Is there a specific reason for it? Do you like just going back and looking at stuff? Because for me, it sort of serves as this map of what I've done and where I've been, and if I'm having a bad day or something, I can kind of look back through it and be like, okay, I've accomplished these things so far. This is where I'm at. Is there a specific reason for that?
It's not as much. Yes, that plays a part of it, but it's more just like I just don't want to forget things.
Right.
So I don't want to forget the names of the venues. I don't want to forget the dates we were there. I don't want to forget the bands we played with. So that's sort of why I started to do that. I actually started before being in a band. I would keep track of all the shows I went to,
right.
And so it wasn't. I would keep track of even the really bad shows I went to. So it wasn't like I was writing down and be like, oh, I really got to remember this, the Great White and Tesla show that I went to. No, but like, I'm not really sure where that comes from, other than the fact that maybe I'm terrified of becoming really, really forgetful. I'm really forgetful, but I don't want to be really, really forgetful. And so I just want to remember that stuff. And nowadays it's with social media and stuff. It's cool because I can share some of that with everybody, and everyone can say, "Oh, I remember that band" or whatever,
right.
And helps me remember too.
It's good.
So yeah, keep that up too.
I will, man. It's just an impulse. I can't stop.
How many shows have you guys played?
How many shows have we played? We just had our 200th show. I think we're at 202 right now, I want to say.
I hope you've been keeping track of everyone.
I have. There's a chronological list on the Signals Midwest Tumblr page that goes all the way back to our first show.
Tell me about your first show.
The first show was in a basement in Cleveland Heights, Ohio. We were a three-piece band, and I think, we started our first song, and about 15 seconds in, the cops came, and we had to stop.
Oh, I would even call that show.
But we just waited until they left, and then we actually played the whole set. And
one of them actually then joined the band, and then you became a
actually, this is a good story. In the house that we used to practice in, it was a really old house, and all the band would just echo throughout, just down the street, and just there was no insulation at all. So we got a lot of noise complaints naturally. So one time, like 3 cops show up, and one of the guys comes downstairs into the basement. He just comes in, which you're not allowed to do as a police officer. It's you're not supposed to do that. And he looks at me. He goes, "Hey, give me that guitar." And I'm like, "What? No." He's like, "Give it to me." I was.
You'd be like,
okay.
well, give me your gun.
Yeah, yeah. And I'm 18 years old. I'm terrified, and he gives it to me, and
Smashes it.
he just fucking rips this solo, just so good. And he's like, "It's a nice guitar, man, but you got to stop. It's really loud." So yeah, some cops are cool, man. Not bad.
Speaking of the ripping solo, there are some ripping solos on your record.
I like Dinosaur Jr.
well. Dinosaur, does Jay Mascis do a lot of the tapping stuff? I don't think he does.
It honestly comes. I really was into like Iron Maiden and Black Sabbath when I started playing guitar.
I can hear that a little bit. Yeah.
They're like the harmonized guitar solos.
Do the solos on your record.
Oh yeah, just bring them into the studio. Yeah, it's good.
In exchange for immunity.
Tell me about the first Braid show. That's an obvious one, right?
Sort of. The first. Do you want me to hold this? Sorry. It's an ongoing joke.
Sorry, man.
The first Braid show was in Champaign. No, it was in Danville, Illinois. It was in 1993, in December of 1993, and we had a sort of a different lineup too. We had a friend of ours, this girl who sang. She only sang on 2 songs, and the rest of the time she just kind of stood there. Yeah. And what's funny is, that was the first show. We played 5 songs. We were opening for some friends. We might have been opening for Gage, this band Gage, that was pretty big for us. And 2 years after we did that show and we started to get our groove or whatever, I've had multiple people come up to me who were at that show to let me know how bad we were. Like, I could say, they're like, you guys are a good band now, but I just want to tell you, you guys sucked so bad that first show. And what's funny is the second show I found out, like right after the show, we had a different guitar player, a guy named Pete at that point in time. We playing the show and rocking out or whatever, and he realized after the show that his amp was off the whole time. Yeah, and it was at like a Park District field house or whatever. But nice. Yeah.
I think a lot about how easy bands have it today in terms of booking tours, in terms of being able to communicate with venues. Obviously you have to find. Do you find that Braid is more enabled by this to a certain extent, in terms of social media, in terms of what the internet has done? Because, there's a bit of a generation gap here, and it's something that I never experienced. I never have been on tour without a GPS or, just been able to to not text a promoter and say, "Hey, man, like, what time is load in?" or something like that. Did you ever get lost? Did you ever just show up at a place and a show just wasn't happening and no one knew you were supposed to be there? Like, can you talk a little bit about that, I guess?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, back, our first few tours, there weren't even cell phones or whatever. So when we had to we would get to the city, basically, find a payphone and then call the promoter and then get directions from there. And oftentimes the promoter was just like, "Yeah, take a right at the old cow stop," or whatever. So it was pretty nuts. In terms of, do we feel like better off for having gone through that? No, probably not. Like, even from the beginning, we were pretty social, quote unquote, as a band. I mean, our first record, we said we want to be on your comp was in the liner notes. So we were really into, corresponding via letters at first, and then once we started when I went to college, and so computers and the internet was kind of growing at that time. The computer lab was open, so I had all this extra time when I wasn't doing schoolwork to try and make a website and stuff and email people. So we were sort of always doing that. So now that, there is, Twitter and YouTube and Facebook and Instagram and all that stuff, it just really kind of comes natural to us because we're just, we feel like we've always been doing stuff like that. Yeah. But yeah, those first few tours were crazy in terms of no GPS, no anything. But yeah, so it's much, much better right now.
I still get lost with a GPS,
really?
So I can't even imagine, man. Yeah. So speaking of touring, I think, we've done full U.S. a couple times. We did Canada for the first time this summer. I haven't done as much as someone like yourself, but I think I've been around a couple times. And one of my favorite things is going to a small town and having, sometimes those are the best shows. We've had amazing shows in Boise, Idaho, and Bellingham, Washington, and like these really that places that aren't just Chicago and Philadelphia. Do any cities like smaller towns come to mind that you would Braid would tour to and you would have a really great show?
Yeah, definitely. The one that immediately came to mind was Lake Charles, Louisiana.
Oh man.
Which was it's not like the epicenter of activity of rock music or whatever, but they were just this sort of really cool group of collective of people that put together shows at this sort of like it was like a VFW hall sort of thing, and because no one ever came through, whenever there was a band coming through, it didn't matter who they were, tons and tons of people would show up. And when we first played at that in Lake Charles, Louisiana, the drinking age was 18. So it was just a crazy slew of drunken idiots, but it was fun. We had a really good way. We have this picture of our van, the front of our van, and our van had this little windshield plastic thing, but the front of the van was full of empty beer cans because once we would be sitting in the van drinking at the venue and then throw them out on the front. Yeah. I'm sure we played really great that night.
I'm absolutely sure. I remember another show that was sort of like that. We played in Fort Ashby, West Virginia, which was a town with no shit. It was like a one stoplight town, and they were like, "Oh man, we just got that stoplight in." I feel like you're walking away from me. I'm very scared of you. I'm intimidated. No, actually, there's like a mound here, and I'm like kind of just off balance naturally. Got it. I'm just gonna reset myself a little bit.
So the show was good at Fort. What was it?
Fort
Ashbury.
Fat. This is the worst thing. I hate this.
Fat Ashbury.
Fat Ashbury. Yeah, man. It was a good time, man. They were like really stoked about the stoplight that they just installed in the town. It was kind of strange.
One interesting thing I thought about when listening to your album is you seem to pay a lot of attention to the actual album aspect of the album, whereas it's not really a collection of songs. A lot of the songs go into one another. I'm just saying, like, I wanted to ask, where did that idea for that come from? Obviously, I think of albums that I really enjoy that were influential to me that sort of stand up as full albums where you kind of can't pull one song out here and there. You have to listen to the whole thing. Were there any albums like that inspired you guys to make sure that happened?
Definitely. That's awesome, first off, that you picked up on that, because I really do try to make something cohesive as a body of work and to have sort of, themes return and come back, whether lyrically or musically or something like that. I think for me, probably listening to the Weaker Than's albums mostly. Reunion Tour was the one that, there was sort of like three of the same song, just different lyrics, and it happened in the beginning, in the middle, and the end, and that was like another really life-changing band for me, and I thought that was a really great way to sort of, tie a bunch of concepts together and make it feel like this complete body of work. I thought that was so cool, and I
you can't take those songs out of the album and they don't make sense almost.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I really just dig the continuity aspect of things and really just creating something that acts as a whole cohesive unit just from the artwork and the liner notes and everything. Just making a complete package and capturing a moment in time, I guess.
Absolutely.
So, yeah. Braid has a new record coming out. Mm-hmm. Are you excited?
No.
Good. I'm definitely not excited. No. Talk about it a little bit. I'm imagining that the songwriting process is a little bit different with everyone spread out. Maybe talk a little bit how the songs are formed. Do you have any idea where you're going to record, when you want to put it out, anything like that? I'm not sure how much you can say about it, but maybe talk a little bit.
Yeah, sure. In fact, we were just listening to all of the demos on the way here. We have 12 or 13 demos right now that we're pretty much finished with. We still need to work on them. Like you said, it's tough because we all live in different cities, but Chris and I live both in the Chicago area, so we get together at least once a week and hash out songs. What's interesting about this album is that the normal process for writing Braid songs and even Hey Mercedes, one of us would come to the practice with a part, and then we would all learn it and then write the song from there. But because we have sort of not necessarily limited time, but we're just really excited about getting this new album out as quickly. We've been doing a lot of like straight up collaborative writing, like from the very beginning, which is really, really cool. And it's sort of like how Braid used to do it in way back days. Huh. So, and I'm actually using some of the lyrics from like some of the old like notebooks and stuff I had. Awesome. And we're really excited about it because I don't know, we're older guys, but there's one song in particular that I swear I listen to it and my heart like races and I have to like turn it off because I'm like, I'm gonna have a heart attack when I listen.
Do you have a name for it yet?
For that song or the?
For that song specifically.
Well, that song might be called "Put Some Wings on That Kid," which is a reference to a child in a pool that could drown. Oh, okay. But it's also in reference to being adopted. So I don't know. There's a wah. No, but that might change. And in fact, I just started really writing the lyrics yesterday on the plane for that. Cool. So in terms of when it's going to be recorded, that's in December. We're going to record it in Philadelphia and in Chicago. Cool. And hopefully it'll be out in spring. So probably April or so. I mean, maybe you could ask the Top Shelf dudes when they want to schedule it in. But no, we're really excited about it. Yeah.
Awesome, man. I am too. Thanks everybody for watching. My name is Max. I play in Signals Midwest. Just spoke to Bob Nanna from Braid. It was a pleasure, man.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun, Max. Have a great show.
You too.
We'll see you soon.
Bye.